everyone. I'd like to call this March 24th, 2025 regular meeting of the Lower Allen Township Board of Commissioners to order. Proof of publication for the meeting is available, and we'll begin the meeting with a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, again, I'd like to welcome everybody to the meeting this morning, or this afternoon. I do this every time. This meeting this evening, I'm joined by Commissioner Schwartz, Commissioner Vallone, Commissioner Brown, and Vice President Nagy, and I am Commissioner Karen. To get started with our meeting, we'll start with the approval of the meeting minutes. We'll begin with the regular meeting of February 24th, 2025.
Madam President, I'll give it another second here, but if the commissioners have no objections or corrections, I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of February 24th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Vallone and a second from Commissioner Schwartz. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next, we'll turn to the approval of the meeting minutes from the regular meeting of March 10th, 2025.
As well, Madam President, if there's no corrections or questions on the minutes, I would make a motion to approve the March 10th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Vallone and a second from Commissioner Schwartz. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Yes, Madam President, I was not at the meeting, so I'll abstain.
Okay, so the vote will be recorded as 4-0 with one abstention. Next, we'll turn to audience participation. At this time, if anyone would like to raise any item on the agenda or any business pertinent to the township, the discussions from the audience will be limited to 5 minutes per person, but at this time, I'll open it up to anyone who'd like to come to the podium. Yes. And if you could state your name for the record, that'd be great.
Hi, my name is Jessica Miller, and I'm the director of the Frederickson Library.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. I am happy to be here today to give you a very quick update on how the library is doing. The state likes it that we do this every so often. We had a really great year last year. We just finished up our annual report. We had about 228,000 visitors to the library over 2024, and they checked out almost 700,000 items. When I'm talking about items, I mean books, movies, CDs, as well as downloadable ebooks, downloadable audiobooks. So we were pretty busy. We had a lot of programs, and we still do. Just for everyone's knowledge, we do have a concert coming up on Sunday the 30th. Which is going to be by Seasons, which it's going to be a Celtic concert. We're also planning greatly for our summer reading program, which is going to start off, I believe it's June the 5th. And this year, typically we do a steel drum band, but we're going to be doing a slightly different band this year, which I've temporarily forgotten the name of, but they should be very enjoyable. They're going to do sort of a 70s, 80s kind of mix. And we have a lot of great crafts and things for the kids as well. Something new that we hadn't had the capacity for before, but we're working greatly to get this up and running, is we're getting museum passes that can be checked out at the library. So we're working with a couple different museums. And so specifically so far, we're working with Lake Tobias, the Whitaker Center, Hershey's Gardens, and also some other ones in the area. And this will allow a family to come in, check out the passes, and they can then take the passes to the organization. They can take a tour, do the standard admission, and then they bring the passes back and they're available for the next family. So that's a lot of fun things that are happening at the library. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions? Okay.
Well,
All right, thank you very much for coming
Thank you.
tonight and for your report.
Thanks.
Thank
And I'd
you.
just like to thank you all for your support. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else from the audience that would like to participate on any item in the agenda or any business pertinent to township? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda. This is the time where any commissioner, staff member, or anyone in attendance who would like to have an item on the consent agenda removed for further discussion can request so now. Is there anyone requesting removal of an item of the consent agenda?
If no objections, Madam President, make a motion to accept consent agenda as is.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Vice President Nagy and a second from Commissioner Brown. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, we'll turn to section 6 of the agenda. The first item is to accept a motion to approve a manual check register of March 20th, 2025, in the amount of $2,480 to Eckert Siemens Sharon and Malat for legal services.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Vice President Nagy, a second from Commissioner Schwartz. Are there any questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I'll note my abstention to the vote due to the fact that Eckert Siemens is my employer. With that, the record will show a vote of 4-0, noting one abstention from myself. The next item is to accept a motion to adopt Resolution 2025 R-16, proclaiming the month of April 2025 as Pennsylvania 811 Safe Digging Month. And with that, I'll turn over to Commissioner Brown.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Brown and a second from Vice President Nagy. Are there questions or discussion?
Yes, so Resolution 2025 R-16 is a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of Lower Allen Township, Cumberland County, Pennsylvania, proclaiming the month of April 2025 as Pennsylvania 811 Safe Digging Month. Whereas the month of April 2025 recognized as Pennsylvania 811 Safe Digging Month, and the initiative sponsored by Pennsylvania 811, a utility notification information center with 53 years of continuous service to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Whereas Pennsylvania 811 received 1 million excavation notifications in 2024, over 3,000 construction projects in Coordinate PA, and transmitted approximately 6 million notifications to their member facility owners and operators, allowing essential utility and construction crews to provide vital underground services and repair of critical infrastructure to communities throughout Pennsylvania. Whereas their mission is to prevent damage to underground facilities, to promote safety, provide an efficient and effective communications network among project owners, designers, excavators, and facility owners. Whereas when dialing 811, at least 3 business days before digging, a homeowner or contractor is connected to a unique service that notifies the appropriate underground utility operators in the municipality in which work will be performed. Whereas by notifying 811 of their intent to dig, the homeowner or contractor is knowingly helping to protect the underground utilities, themselves, work crews, and their neighbors from any unsafe digging practices within their community. And by the Board of Commissioners of Lower Allen Township, Cumberland County, Pennsylvania, in support of the Pennsylvania Underground Utility Line Protection Law, PA Act 287 of 1974, as amended, we do by here proclaim April 2025 as Pennsylvania Safe Digging Month and encourage all Pennsylvanians to visit the Pennsylvania 811 website for more information. Adopted into a resolution this 24th day of March 2025.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Brown, for reading that into the record as a proclamation. Are there any questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, next we have a motion to adopt Resolution 2025 R-17, proclaiming the week of April 6th through the 12th, 2025 as National Library Week.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Schwartz, a second from Commissioner Brown. Are there any discussion or questions on this proclamation?
Madam President, thank you. Resolution 2025-R-17 is the 2025 National Library Week proclamation. Whereas libraries spark creativity, fuel imagination, and inspire lifelong learning, offering a space where individuals of all ages can explore new ideas and be drawn to new possibilities. Whereas libraries serve as vibrant community hubs, connecting people with knowledge, technology, and resources while fostering civic engagement, critical thinking, and lifelong learning. Whereas libraries provide free and equitable access to books, digital tools, and innovative programming, ensuring that all individuals have the support they need to learn, connect, and thrive. Whereas the PA Forward Literacy is Power initiative highlights how libraries and staff encourage basic literacy, information literacy, civic and social literacy, health literacy, and financial literacy, which contribute to greater personal and community success. Whereas libraries partner with schools, businesses, and organizations, connecting the dots to maximize resources, increase efficiency, and expand access to essential services, strengthening the entire community. Whereas libraries workers have worked to expand fluency in the digital literacy skills needed to navigate the online world in which 21st century information exists. Whereas libraries nurture young minds through story times, STEAM programs, and literacy initiatives, fostering curiosity and a love of learning. Whereas libraries empower job seekers, entrepreneurs, and lifelong learners by providing access to resources, training, and opportunities that support career growth and economic success. Whereas getting a library card is a financially literate action, and whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers across the country are joining together to celebrate National Library Week under the theme Drawn to the Library. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lower Allen Township Board of Commissioners hereby proclaim April 6th through the 12th, 2025 as National Library Week in Lower Allen Township. During this week, we encourage all residents to visit the Cleve J. Frederickson Library and celebrate the opportunities the library unlocks for us every day.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Schwartz, for reading that proclamation into the record. Are there any further questions or discussion items on this? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, the next item is a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-R-18, affirming the township's participation in the Sustainable Pennsylvania Municipal Certification Program.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Brown, a second from Commissioner Schwartz. Are there questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, turn to the next section on human resources and turn to Director Crone.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, Commissioners. The first item up on the agenda tonight for this is employee recognition for Police Department awards. And the Lieutenant Foltz will have the honor of making that presentation. I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you. The following officers, if they could please come forward. Officer Ethan Kell, Officer Donovan Glasser, and Officer Brian Rennie, and Corporal Laura Tamanoski. On January 22nd of 2024, around 7:40 a.m., Officers Glasser and Tamanoski received a dispatch for a welfare check for a resident whose employer had not seen him for several days. The resident had also sent a text that seemed to be a suicidal threat. Officers Glasser and Tamanoski were quickly able to get a key to the residence. While they also attempted a phone ping, Officers Kell, Rennie, and Curtis made entry. Officers Tamanoski and Glasser soon went inside as well, and Officer Rennie was the first to make contact with the resident, who was found with a cord wrapped around his neck. Officers thought that he may have already been deceased, but vital signs were checked and the patient responded. Officer Rennie quickly removed the cord from around his neck, and the other officers stayed with the patient, giving him time to recover, while Officers Glasser and Tamanoski contacted EMS and also discovered a written suicide note. patient was then transported to the hospital. Without timely police discovery and intervention, the patient would have soon succumbed to asphyxiation, but he was later released from the hospital. So I'm going to read these all together. For Officers Kell, Glasser, and Rennie, and Corporal Tamanowski's quick action in responding to a welfare check and then participating in life-saving measures resulting in the successful resuscitation of the patient, this life-saving award is presented. These actions are in keeping with the highest ideals of this department and the law enforcement profession. You can tell him to stand still. All right, Officer Kimberly Floyd. To stand up here by yourself. On February 4th of 2024 at 1:45 a.m., Mechanicsburg Borough police officers activated their emergency button and radioed that a DUI suspect had just assaulted two of their officers and that suspect had fled on foot. Officers lost visual of the suspect during the foot pursuit and assistance was being requested. Lower Allen Township officers responded to help. After arriving on scene, officers assisted in taking up a perimeter while Officer Floyd searched the area where the suspect was last seen in an unmarked cruiser. Two different canines were dispatched and conducted two separate tracks, but both without success. Mechanicsburg PD also believed the suspect may have entered a fenced-off storage area and requested that the perimeter be reduced in order to saturate the storage area with officers. After that area was searched, there was still no sign of the suspect and there was no more leads. Almost an hour later, while still in the area, Officer Floyd exited her vehicle to speak with an elderly female who was outside on her rear porch. Officer Floyd approached her and asked the woman if she had seen a man in the area at all. The woman pointed to a blanket that was covering an object along the wall of her house and advised that there was a man underneath it. Officer Floyd immediately drew her taser, gave the suspect commands, and activated her emergency button while providing her location. Officers in the vicinity heard her yelling commands and were able to provide backup within seconds. The suspect was taken into custody without further incident. Officer Floyd displayed persistence during this assist call. She utilized every resource she had, including TLO access to find possible leads of where the suspect could be. When all else failed, she noticed a resident and took the simple step of approaching and speaking with her. This resulting in locating a dangerous suspect and providing the injured Mechanicsburg officers with an immediate sense of justice. This was great work and was above and beyond what the normal expectation is while assisting in a perimeter search. For displaying perseverance and determination in locating and assisting in the arrest of a combative subject, this Exceptional Service Award is presented. Officer Floyd's actions are keeping with the highest ideals of this department and the law enforcement profession. Next up, we have Corporal Jeremy Reed, Officer Brian Rennie, and Officer Tori Shiley. On June 21st, again of 2024, around 3:10 p.m., the Lower Allen Township Police Department was dispatched to a residence for a 911 hang-up. The only information provided from dispatch was that the male answered the call and was heard saying he felt like hurting himself. He allegedly was crying, and dispatchers could not provide a consistent location in the house where he was at. So officers arrived and staged down the block. They attempted to gather information about the caller from various sources, including prior police contacts, JNet, and Cumberland County Dispatch. Eventually, Officer Rennie was able to get patched into the subject's 911 phone call and speak directly to him. Initially, the dispatcher and officers thought that the subject was intoxicated due to his struggle speaking. Eventually, Officer Rennie began to suspect that maybe there was a medical issue. He put the phone on speaker, and the officers together determined it was necessary to make sudden entrance into the residence. Officers entered the house utilizing a bunker shield. They began a building search, and when they came to the top of the stairs, they found the male lying face down. His face and chest were covered in blood, and officers quickly determined that he had actually shot himself. EMS soon arrived, and the subject was transported to the hospital and was able to survive his wound. Officers displayed great teamwork, great communication, and decisiveness while on scene. This collaboration ultimately led to the subject surviving what was nearly a mortal wound. Again, I'll read their names together. For the actions of Officer Brian Rennie, Officer Tori Shiley, and Corporal Jeremy Reed, their actions in carefully yet deliberately responding to a 911 hang-up and participating in life-saving measures resulting in the preservation of a life of a critical patient, this life-saving award is presented. Again, these actions are in keeping with the highest ideals of the department and the law enforcement profession. And Officer Rennie's going to stay up here, but if Officer Jonathan Newcomer can join him, please. On October 3rd, 2024, around 7:15 p.m., Marysville PD requested mutual aid through dispatch for an officer who was shot. Officers Newcomer and Rennie both responded emergency. When they arrived, they sprinted up the road until they located multiple officers trying to subdue a combative subject on the ground. Officer Newcomer immediately secured one of the subject's wrists and helped him roll over into a position to be secured in handcuffs. As it turns out, the suspect was actually the person who had been shot. He had fought with an officer who had been viciously assaulting him before the officer was able to draw his firearm and shoot him. Once the subject was secured, Officers Rennie and Newcomer began assisting the officer who had been assaulted. Officer Newcomer then sat with him one-on-one for the duration of the call and was able to give him emotional support and help process through the stress of the immediate aftermath of shooting someone. Officer Newcomer remained with the officer until he was transported to the hospital, and Officer Rennie began preserving evidence, including the firearm, with professionalism and care. It is of note that naturally a lot of cops showed up to this call. Many of them were standing around watching. No one else sought out or checked on the officer who was involved in the actual shooting. Officers Rennie and Newcomer showed up and just started handling business, not just professionally, but also with extreme care. So for the perseverance in the face of great peril and the apprehension of a determined, combative subject, and for his exceptional care of his fellow officer, this unit citation is presented. Officer Rennie's and Officer Newcomer's actions were in keeping with the highest ideals of this department and the law enforcement profession. finally, if Officers Nathan McDowell and Katie Just can please come forward. On March 3rd of this year, around 7:57 PM, Officer McDowell came upon a serious crash on Rossmont Road at Route 15 North. Officer McDowell was already transporting another individual, but he did not hesitate to spring into action. He quickly exited his patrol car and approached the white SUV with heavy front-end damage. He ran over and found that the driver was unconscious and still inside the vehicle. The car then burst into flames as Officer McDowell discovered the door was locked. He immediately grabbed his Halligan bar and returned to the vehicle. It was around the same time that Officer Just arrived and quickly grabbed her fire extinguisher. Officer McDowell smashed the driver's window and unlocked the door as Officer Just attempted to put out the fire. Officer McDowell then attempted to remove the driver from the vehicle while it was actively on fire. He single-handedly removed the driver and dragged him to safety. Officer Just continued to address the fire. Officer McDowell, there's a typo. While Officer McDowell continued to drag the patient further from the vehicle with the assistance of other bystanders. Both Officer Just and McDowell then assessed and assist with the patient. If it was not for Officer McDowell's exceptional service, this patient most likely would have perished in the fire. His actions meet the standards to be recognized for both the Life-Saving Award and Meritorious Service Award. Officer Just's actions working to extinguish the fire and then assessing the patient's needs meet that of the Life-Saving Award. So again, for the perseverance in the face of great peril in an extremely hazardous environment and successfully saving an unconscious person's life, this Meritorious Service Award is presented. Officer McDowell's actions were in keeping with the highest ideals of this department and law enforcement profession. And then both for he and Officer Just's quick action in responding to a life-threatening situation resulting in the successful rescue and critical patient care, this life-saving award is presented.
Okay, I would just like to say thank you to Lieutenant Foltz again for making that wonderful presentation and for sharing the stories. And it makes it very evident and very clear that all these awards are extremely well-deserved by those who receive them. So thank you again for your service. I'll open it up to my fellow commissioners if they'd like to say anything as well.
I would just like to say, as the longest member, standing member of the board right now, up here, I've seen this department grow, and I'm just so grateful. I would speak for everybody. I'm sure everybody will have something else to say, but so grateful for our police officers in Lower Allen Township, our police department, and that, I mean, what we heard tonight is just a drop in the bucket of what these folks have to do on a regular basis. And so, so grateful for all the hard work that goes into our policing here in Lower Allen. And it's no doubt going to continue to grow in its culture to be a very, very strong department. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would just like to say thank you to all of you and congratulations, well-deserved.
I wanted to read this tonight in my commissioner's report, but it involves a lot of you and some of EMS, so I'm going to jump ahead here a little bit. As commissioners, we all have different parts of our lives, our paid job, our personal lives, what we do at the township. Sometimes those worlds collide when we don't expect it. So I want to say thank you as your commissioner, a resident of this township, and on a personal level. Thank you to all of public safety for your professionalism and efforts. Fancy word they sometimes use is interagency cooperation, but it truly boils down to teamwork within this township. Teamwork amongst all of you to give the best chance and outcomes for our residents, from medical calls, police calls, fire calls. Unique and rare are probably the best descriptors of how well our fire, EMS, and police all work together. Each one of us is lucky to live in this area, but I know luck isn't how it happens. It's all the men and women of the Department of Public Safety and each one of your leaders that has promoted this culture. You know, a lot of the police, you work your entire career within one department, so you may not be aware, and even some of the fire and EMS, but the way all three of you work together is unlike anywhere I have ever seen, and it is, professionalism is not even a large enough word to say how well you guys work together and what advantages that brings to all the residents. So I just am so happy and so proud to be a part of this township. There was a call that I'm kind of relating off of this, and I want to personally thank everyone there, and I'm going to read everyone's name, starting with Corporal Sterling, Officers Storm, Fitzke, and Glasser, firefighters Baden Metzler, Bryce Landis, Nick Schinkel, Shane Catrancha, and Assistant District Chief Steve Overmiller, as well as an EMS, our Lieutenant Paramedic Jody Etter, Hannah Shear, Ken Hivner, and Anthony Hentz. All of you guys were a great team and just went flawlessly between all three disciplines. So I am, like I said, I can't say that I can't be any prouder of you guys and appreciate everything you do. So thank you.
Real briefly, Madam President, I won't belabor it. I echo everything that my fellow commissioners have said. I just wanted to add, it's, you know, hearing stories like this, it's hard not to get emotional, but, you know, when we are hearing them or, you know, reading the monthly reports from public safety, we and all the residents are really grateful that we have folks who do this job so effectively and professionally. So just wanted to thank everybody for that, and it really means a lot to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll end with one last round of applause for all the award winners. So thank you very much. Turn it back to you, Director Crum. Thank you.
And with the second item here, I get to turn it back to you. Employee recognition for years of service and performance awards presented by President Karen.
You just pass it back and forth. All right, the first commendation letter is for Cindy Overmiller. Cindy, here. Okay, dear Cindy, this correspondence is written as a commendation letter for your hours of service to Lower Allen Township. Over your tenure at Lower Allen, you have grown hereby concur with their recommendation and recognize you accordingly. So, thank you very much. Okay. Is it your turn, Director Crone?
Sure, I don't have to turf any of the
I'll turn
rest
it
of them
back
off.
to you.
Item C is accept a motion accepting the resignation of Captain Frank Worth, a fire captain with Department of Fire Rescue Services. You have a memo from Director Hall, but Frank Worth's last day would end up being March 31st. He's already really not here. He's on vacation until then, but that would be before you for action.
Thank you. Commissioners, anyone like to make a motion?
Oh, please.
I'll move to accept the resignation of Frank Worth, Fire Captain in the Department of Fire Rescue Services, effective March 31st, 2025, with regrets and congratulations.
And I would second that motion with regrets and congratulations.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Schwartz and a second from Commissioner Vallone. Are there any other comments or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0, and we very grateful for Captain Worth's years of service, and we will miss him. So, and wish him the best of luck his next chapter.
On the heels of that, the very last line of that memo asks for authorization for staff to advertise for a public safety officer to fill the vacancy left by Captain Worth's departure.
Anyone care to make that motion, Commissioners?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Vice President Nagy, a second from Commissioner Brown. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Final item, discussion and possible action to accept a motion accepting the retirement of Glenn McGatz, Assistant Public Works Director. That would be effective April 18th of 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Brown, a second from Commissioner Schwartz. Any questions or discussion?
Just like to say congratulations to Glenn on a very nice career.
Okay, thank you.
Ditto.
Okay, thank you. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0, and also like to extend my congratulations and best wishes to him as well. Okay, thank you, Director Crone.
Thank you.
Okay. Director Hall.
Madam President and Commissioners, there's a discussion and possible action for us to accept a resolution and approve the appointment of Matthew W. Schmidt as a full-time EMT PSO, or part of our hybrid program. That would take effect on April the 7th of 2025.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion, Madam President.
I would second that. And I have a question, Director,
Sure.
or perhaps the captain who's joined us this evening. I'm just curious, overall, we went through the budget cycle, and I'm just curious, is staffing getting to where we would have expected it to be to satisfy our service needs in the township on the EMS side?
Yes, I would say yes. I mean, there's always room for changes, but what this does is this fills Keegan Toots' position, so all of our budgeted positions will be full.
Okay, but we're feeling comfortable, where we're at right now?
Right
I
now,
mean, as far as
call volume keeps going up, so we're
Keeps going
going
up,
to
okay.
monitor that.
Got it. All right, I was just curious. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion from Vice President Nagy and a second from Commissioner Vallone. Are there any other questions or discussion? Okay, Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries 5-0, and we welcome Matthew Schmidt. Okay, we'll move on to Director Sweeney. Just pass the mic down. You have nothing to report this evening.
Nothing tonight.
You got it all in the last
Are
two
you
meetings.
sure?
Don't worry, I'll get you the next meeting, I'm sure.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, any chance we could do the police awards the next time a convenience store wants to come to the township?
Okay, we'll turn to the Public Works section and turn the mic over to Director Powell, please.
Thank you, Madam President. The first item on the agenda for Public Works tonight is discussion possible action for authorizing staff to prepare and advertise bid specifications for the 2025 infrastructure project. This will be for paving in Highland Estates in Highland Village, and then the ADA upgrades and stormwater for Ross Boyne Manor.
Okay, are there any questions for Director Powell?
Director, I believe that we got grant funding for at least some of this work previously. Is that correct? Am I understanding?
Yeah, that's correct. So there's, I believe, about $80,000 that is granted for the ADA improvements.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, any other questions?
If no other questions, I'll make a motion to authorize staff to prepare and advertise bid specifications for the 2025 infrastructure project.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Brown and a second from Commissioner Schwartz. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, the next item?
The second item, I just wanted to update the board as to what's going on at the Public Works facility. As you all know, there's 2 large item drop-off dumpsters that have been established there since the 80s. And I left a memo in your packet for you to read. Hopefully you were able to read that over. But we're facing a lot of ongoing issues. There's a few issues at hand. One is we have a lot of abuse of the system, whereas we have a lot of residents dropping off illegal materials, so construction waste, and they're not signing in, so it's hard to know that they're there. So they'll come through the gate, they'll drop their items off. A lot of times they're left outside the dumpster as well. So my concern too is for the safety of our staff as they're left to clean that up and put everything into the dumpster as that service. And then the third issue is these dumpsters aren't permitted to be on our compost pad. So that compost area is strictly permitted to be a part of the DEP permit for our yard waste program, dealing with anything related to yard, you see the yard waste out there. That's where we shred everything into the mulch product. That's where you could include that as the leaf composting pad in the second lot as well. But we're also permitted to have temporary recycling programs there too. So the dumpsters being there do not fit under that permit. So if we've received notice from DEP in the past, they could withdraw our permit if it came to that, or if we ever needed to reapply or re-permit the site. For instance, if there was a upgrade to the Public Works facility, they have a right to deny that permit. If we don't go through with that permit, we would lose 902 grant funding opportunities for the future. It kind of spirals from there. So I've outlined some of the issues there in my memo too. I'm just asking that you consider, the future of that service and really if it's worth continuing for the township.
Thank you, Director Powell.
Well, I've used that. I've used the yard waste, pile in the past, and I've also used the dumpsters. I'm surprised that we would actually even allow anybody to go onto the premises to drop anything off, whether it's yard waste, let alone pick up anything. I hope we don't allow people to just pick up the mulch when we give the free mulch without signing in. But I'm concerned that we would allow anybody on the premises, perhaps it's a legal issue, without signing in and registering at the front desk somehow. And secondly, when I read the part about resident and acquaintance, yeah, I mean, I think this is a precious service that we should take, maybe, in my opinion, take a little harder look at as how we manage it first before we consider maybe getting rid of it, because I think that we should have people sign in, and only those people that are residents. They shouldn't be acquaintances. I agree with that. The problem I have with getting rid of the service, now we're even down the road, is, we're asking people to have smaller waste bins and things like that. And I would be concerned that some of these mid-size items that people are gonna struggle trying to get rid of in the regular trash removal. Just simply because, we do, I think, instruct them to cut things up, maybe put them in bags, put them in their dumpster. But then, we're asking, people to have smaller waste dumpsters probably into the future as well. That would be my concern with it, and I appreciate the effort with this and your vigilance on it. But I would hope to take a step to make sure that it's managed in a way that's a little bit more secure, number one, before we would, consider getting rid of it.
Yeah, so two things about that. The first, residents are required to sign in. The issue we're facing is managing that. In the day when we have our parks and our roadway groups out to work, there's nobody there at the facility. The fleet maintenance group, they're actively working as well, so it really leaves only our administrative assistant out there to pay attention. We have a few cameras around the facility, but if she were to be out showing the Lower Allen, the barn, or simply out of the office to do whatever around the facility, she can't monitor that camera system 24/7 to make sure people are first signing in and then proceeding to the, whether it's yard waste or the dumpsters. So that's the issue we have is being able to monitor that 24/7 without having a full-time lot attendant.
Right,
which is,
right. And I get that, and I
so-
appreciate that. I really do.
So,
Would a possible solution to that be, maybe cut down, instead of saying you can come any day of the week from this to this, could we pick a day or two where we know we could have somebody there to monitor it, to say, okay, instead of 5 days a week, we're gonna cut this back to Tuesdays and Thursdays from, whatever times work for you guys?
we still think that would be an issue just because, there are blatant times, there are times where people are blatantly just driving through and ignoring that anyway. So I'm not sure that they would really pay attention to the time restrictions at that point. The other day, I was two incidents happened last week. The first was somebody had come there, dropped off an entire U-Haul of construction material. We sent them a letter asking them not to come back and bring any more items, simply because of the amount of stuff they filled both dumpsters, all illegal material. Later in the week, they came back again, and we had to ask them to leave, but they had gone right past, not signed in for the second time. It took staff going up and asking them to come sign in and have a conversation with staff before they were willing to leave. And even then, she actually called me asking if I could get him to move. I had staff in my office that actually, they were heading to the police to have them dispatched to go out there and remove the individual from the premises. So, and that's not the only issue. There's been a handful that I've heard about in my short time here. So that's my concern, is even if we limit the time that they can bring things, they're still not gonna sign in. They're still gonna drive up, just drop things off. The other issue that I faced last week is we had somebody, they actually did the right thing. They signed in. It was asked what they were dropping off. It was said that they were just dropping off some wood material, some couch cushions, nothing that wasn't allowed. When I arrived, I saw a trailer full of painted wood, windows, doors, and some bathroom fixtures. So all those which weren't permitted, but without being able to leave the office every time somebody shows up, verify it, you're good to go. Short of that, it's, we're on a trust basis and it's being abused. So they would drive up, they park, and the way the cameras are set up and things like that, there's no way to really verify that. She can't sit there and watch the camera, so that's another issue we're facing. One thing we thought about is if the pad were to be gated individually and they could sign and then be scanned in, we think that might just move the problem. So if residents aren't willing to actually remove things from their vehicle or from their trailer and then throw it into the dumpster on themselves, instead they're just leaving it there for our staff to pick up. If we have a gate, then all they're gonna do is drop things off the gate, and now we're doing the same thing we were before, only a further stretch. The other issue I wanted to bring up, you mentioned we've encouraged residents to, cut things up, do what they can to fit in their trash. As a part of our contract now, residents are allowed to contact Penn Waste and schedule a large bulk item pickup. There is no limit to that per year. If they want to set an item out every week and call Penn Waste for that pickup, they're more than able to do so. It's no additional cost to them. That's actually being billed to each resident on a quarterly basis right now, about $1.59 as per quarter for every resident's contract is going towards that large item pickup. So it's no additional cost to call Penn Waste to do that. So really, it takes away from the intent, one of the original intents for providing that dumpster service. So I just wanted to be clear on that part.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that part of it. And I will say Penn Waste, one of the things that they've done well with, in my experience, has been to respond to those calls. And they have the people out, even if you don't call and they see it, it goes away in one of the trucks. So they're vigilant about that. I think, I think every time we consider stuff like this, we have to look at the consequence, and there will be consequences. I think people are gonna, if they're moving, let's say, and they've got those, they're planning on moving and they're cleaning things out, and they've got those 7 or 8 items. Well, I mean, they might not get picked up all in 1 week and they leave them behind, I mean, we're gonna have to have some tolerance perhaps for things like that if we were to take any action with this. I'm still not opposed, or still not in favor of doing anything with this right now. I think that the residents who do feel like they can utilize it in their annual cleanouts and things like that, I think that they're gonna miss it and probably will hear about it. For me, I mean, I probably won't be using it anymore, but I think that residents, there's a need here for it. I really do, and I don't know if we have a solution. I'm concerned about the DEP's
Yeah, that's,
concern here, and what we would do with it and where we would place it. But I think right now, I'd like to look at maybe if we have to add cost, I would like to look at maybe what that is first. That's just my opinion, and we haven't really heard from anybody else.
yeah, I think the first thing I was just wondering was, like you said, my biggest concern was hearing about the DEP situation and the permit. So I guess, in your memo, you said if the service is to be continued, a new location needs to be determined. So are there other viable locations that are being considered, or what?
We've
where does that
tried to
stand?
think through the township properties as a staff, and there's really no other location that we have that provides a secure location where it can be monitored, but a location that makes sense. So we really don't have an alternative
Okay.
location either.
So then my second question that I was thinking while Commissioner Valone was talking was, and then I think you brought it up too, was basically securing it even more with like a fence. I don't know what other municipalities do in our area. For some reason, I thought maybe Fairview's was gated or something with a fence.
Their
but-
yard waste facility is, and Hampton has a gated facility with a
Okay.
full-time attendant
Okay,
that's there all the time. And there's Mechanicsburg, Silver Spring have a fob system,
okay.
but they don't have a dumpster for debris. This is just their yard waste facility.
Oh,
We are
okay.
very unique.
Yeah,
Director Powell can probably speak to this. We're one of the most unique municipalities in the Cumberland County that have this dumpster.
So
Municipalities don't have it.
we are unique in that we have the extra dumpsters here.
From
And-
my understanding, from all the trash mandated municipalities in like the eastern half of the state, we might be one of two that provide a bulk item drop-off
Okay.
such as this.
interesting.
Now, granted, there are tons of yard waste programs out there, just like we have, and we have no intent to end that at all. We want that to grow and keep going, but
Right.
the large bulk item drop-off is what's really the problem.
Yeah, and then I guess my last thought was, and it sort of goes to what Commissioner Brown was saying in terms of, sort of limiting the time that it's available. And I guess how practical would it be to have it be by appointment only? So that people that would like to drop off something can basically arrange a time and even limit the times that appointments would be available, certain days.
I'm curious as to whether that would actually solve the problem, though, just with the number of people that are not signing in and then dropping the materials.
Yeah,
We can't keep track of all that, so they
As
could
it
easily
is.
slip in
Yeah.
and drop that off.
I mean, unfortunately, it would be the same people who are gonna stop and sign in and follow the rules are the
Right.
only ones who are gonna
Make an appointment.
stop and make an appointment.
Yeah.
But with Commissioner Valone, it kind of feels like the people following the rules are getting punished here, and those who are breaking the rules are causing all of this. And I'm kind of loath to ever take away a service from the residents, but
There
I would
is-
agree 345 a year is not, it's one a day, give or take. And if, we offer curbside, that they don't have to drag it all the way up to us, to me, that's actually a better service. So maybe we are replacing it with a better service for them.
Yeah, in freeing up that space on that compost pad, we are, as I said, permitted to do temporary recycling drives, or collections, whatever you wanna call it. We could absolutely create new services, in place of that, battery recycling, electronic recycling, set certain collections up for certain times of the year, and we could cycle through those on a yearly basis. Those would be permitted
Well,
as
I think
recycling programs under the permit.
Our contract includes one event a year,
Yeah.
so that's already included, so we could do that in that area for our residents as well.
Like during a spring clean out, sort of.
So my guess is, and the dumpsters have been, I think at least since I moved into the township. So, and it was probably, if I had to guess, just based on some of the solution, kind of how we would fix things in the past, probably a solution to dealing with a trash contract, and maybe trying to mitigate that price a little bit and having that available to the residents. So, we've, in our doings as a municipality, whether we're alone with our neighbors and our peers around here, we have created an expectation with that and over time. So at least longer than since I've been in the township, I would recommend maybe a plan come in, if the other commissioners be okay, on a phase out. And maybe we do immediately limit the days that can happen, knowing that there's gonna be a sunset that perhaps we won't have it again. And I don't know what that time frame would be. Maybe maybe this is just an idea, that maybe we have staff present some ideas with a phase out. And then we give notification to the residents. So the expectations will diminish over time, whether that's 12 months or 36 months, it's just hypothetically. At least we're giving the residents a fair chance to kind of adjust to a different type of solution for themselves.
Yeah, we've thought through that as well. We have really 3 different things. We could end it, through this summer, in preparation for our collection this fall, which will be, I believe, latex paints. We could end it at the end of this year, which would make a nice, clean calendar break, or we could end it with the current trash contract in December of '26. So those are 3 outlines that we've essentially thought through and tried to process what that might look like if we were to end it at that time.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions to share at this point?
It's sort of all been covered, and I kind of agree. It sounds like at the very least, we need to get the dumpster off of the compost pad.
Right.
So, whatever we can do to facilitate that by the time we need to avoid incurring any negative outcomes would be great. I guess we'll talk about it more and hear about it at a future meeting.
Yes, I think that'd be great. Yeah, thank you for the update on this, and I think it should be probably presented in short order on the upcoming meeting for
Sure.
action.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and there's nothing under finance for Director Knoll this evening, so we'll move to Manager Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. I have two items on the agenda for discussion and possible action this evening. The first item would be an amendment. It would be the first amendment to the assignment and assumption agreement between Lower Allen Township Authority and the Pennsylvania American Water Company. There's a memo from Brian Kaufman, who's the manager of the authority, in your packet with a map, an associated map. Lower Allen Township is the incorporating municipality of the authority, so we are also the signatory and would be required to sign this agreement. It amends the flow and adds the Sienna development to the area served by the authority wastewater treatment plant. So the map shows you the existing and proposed service area. They have an allocated capacity of 0.504 million gallons per day, and the current flow from the Fairview area is 0.198 million gallons per day. So with the development addition, they have a total expected flow of 0.458 million gallons per day. They're also, authority staff is requesting that PA American Water Company has agreed to the removal of 5,000 gallons per day of infiltration from the agreement that was previously allowed. So the authority is asking for this board to consider being a signatory on this First Amendment assignment assumption agreement between the authority and the Pennsylvania American Water Company.
Okay, thank you, Manager Davis. Does anyone have any questions?
Manager Davis, I was just curious, like, the expected flow seems to be more than doubling once that's all built out. I was curious if the authority had any concerns about how close to the allocated capacity that was getting.
I would defer to Solicitor Minor, who's been part of this.
Right, I sit on both
agreement.
boards, so I may have a few questions. No, Manager Kaufman is confident that they're well within their allocated. Sorry, I moved out of there because the sun was in my eyes. I'll start over. No, Manager Kaufman was comfortable that they're well within their allocated capacity, but this is really it. So you've hit the nail on the head. If this expansion goes through and the number of houses that are being constructed in Fairview Township, or now PA American would have to purchase additional capacity in Lower Allen's plant, and I don't know if there is capacity. So I know there was a re-rate, and that's a whole different story, so that I'm not going to get into today, because the plant is very large, and because it was so efficient, the DEP gave them more capacity. But again, there's also been a lot of expansion in Lower Allen Township, and you're probably aware Upper Allen is a significant contributor in nearly 50% of the plant capacity. So yes, this probably would be the end of it, and long-standing agreement, primarily because the sewer plant's actually in Fairview Township. So this service area was really designed because of the practicality. It's very close to the plant.
And Solicitor Minor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they've already purchased this.
Oh, this is long-standing, correct.
Correct.
This is something that was planned many years ago, and just the build-out through those Green Lane Farm subdivisions that were, I guess, former hemp farm properties.
They're expecting to get to this point.
And they're going to
Ultimately.
probably, at that point, be built out. Yes, sir.
Okay.
But, just to make the board aware of something, at the sewer authority meetings, residents of Fairview Township have showed up and requested that kind of the Lower Allen Authority take over their billing, because it is going to the Lower Allen Sewer Authority plant. The issue is, since the purchase of Fairview's authority, the residents there, they provided bills. I've seen bills, they're paying upwards of $4,000 a year whenever, our residents get $87 a quarter currently. So I know for this, our hands are kind of tied. There's nothing we can do about that, correct, Solicitor?
Right, and I'm going to write a memo, and I don't want to get into, too much tonight, because it really needs to go before the authority board first. But I think we need to maintain the arrangement as a bulk treatment, but not build their residents, because it creates all kind of problems with Public Utility Commission regulation, which I don't think is desirable, and I don't think the board will find it desirable either. But this arrangement was made with Fairview Township many years ago. Fairview sold their system to PA American, and now with the Public Utility, they've had some substantial increases. And some of the folks that have lived in Fairview for a number of years seem to live with it. But the authority did have a group of interested residents from one of the Green Lane farms, and I don't know if there's Meadows and Mano, I'm not sure which one it was.
It was
but
Meadows.
Meadows, that group, that were complaining because that is true. I mean, their sewage is conveyed and treated at the Lower Allen facility, but they are a customer of Pennsylvania American Water Company.
That is a shame.
And so within this, there's nothing we can do on this bulk assignment that says, listen, if you're gonna bill your residents X amount, you're gonna pay us X amount. Is there anything?
No,
Okay.
this is,
Just-
this is really the last phase of a long-term agreement, and this will end with, as Commissioner Schwartz pointed out, this will be the end of their purchase capacity. So anything future would have to be negotiated differently, and perhaps, there may not be plant capacity. So it's really speculation on my part where we go from here. But this would be under pre-existing agreements between Fairview Township, PA American, and Lower Allen and its authority.
Just a,
So really, just kudos to our Lower Allen Township Authority. And along the way, I think it's something to keep in mind for whoever sits up here in the future, to just never sell out like that. I mean,
just was gonna say cautionary tale
Yeah,
to
just-
all future boards that come after us.
Very much
it will kill your residents in the long run. I mean, you're pretty much talking about people paying a family vacation just for their wastewater, because that's what's going on. It kind of sickens me a little bit, it angers me, I feel for the residents, and I really wish there was something we could do. But
I'm from Middletown originally. They sold their water utility. And so I remember going through $250, $300 water bills per month. And people being irate, but, so here, absolutely.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Manager Davis? I just had a quick one for Solicitor Minor or Manager Davis. It looks like, based on what was in our packet, that all the other parties have already agreed to this and signed, so we're just the last signatories?
Madam
Okay.
President, correct.
Okay. Okay, do we have anyone willing to?
Well, seeing as we have no other choice, I make a motion to approve as signatory of incorporating the municipality of Lower Allen Township Authority, First Amendment to the assignment and assumption agreement between Lower Allen Township Authority and Pennsylvania American Water Company, adding the Sienna development to the area served by Lower Allen Township wastewater treatment plant.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Brown, a second from Commissioner Schwartz. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, our next item, please.
Thank you, Madam President. The last item I have on the agenda for discussion and possible action, this is for permission to allow township staff to hold public sealed bid openings at a duly advertised public meeting, separate from and in advance of awarding a bid at a Board of Commissioners public meeting. I have a memorandum in your packet explaining this process. Historically, the township has conducted bid openings during commissioner public meetings. Opening bids is not typically common at a commissioner's meeting, but they are always and required to be opened at a public meeting. So I'm looking to see if we can entertain the process that staff would advertise to open them at a public meeting. We can stream that meeting. Anyone is welcome to attend that meeting, including contractors. That will allow staff time to review the information, engineers to review the estimates, our solicitor to review the bids, and then we can make a recommendation at the subsequent board meeting to award it to the responsible lowest bidder. So this is a change in the way staff has operated in the past, but I feel it creates a more efficient process, and it doesn't delay our projects. Sometimes when we do that, I'd say the majority of the times when we open them at board meetings, we are delayed by 2 weeks to a month for award.
Okay, thank you for bringing this up for us to consider. Anyone have any questions or concerns about it?
No, I'd be happy to.
Oh, sorry. I just have a question. Thank you for being proactive on this. I think this will save a lot of time and get things moving along that need to get moved along. Can you just explain, though, so at a subsequent board meeting, so let's assume you hold we schedule to hold the bid opening on a Tuesday and our meeting's on Monday. Are they prepared that quickly to have it at that following
Oh, yes.
monthly meeting?
We'll publicly open. We will review that information and put it on the agenda
For the very following.
Correct.
Okay, great. And that's all I would ask is if we could just make sure there's an understanding that if for some reason that gets delayed, that the commissioners get at least at the very next meeting, an update in public about.
What we would plan to do is update you, and if we can't award at that meeting, we phrase the language in the advertisement that we can open at that meeting or a subsequent meeting.
Okay, that's great. And the only reason I bring it up is, we've had a really good history here so far since I've been involved, and before that, of being really transparent. And I want to make sure that we don't even give the implication that we, would head in a different direction from that. And I know we wouldn't, but I just want to make sure that we have safeguards, just at least for the public's comfort, we'll say.
Absolutely.
That they know that they'll always hear about those bid openings regardless.
And we can stream those meetings.
Yep. Thank you so much. And that's all, Vice President Nagy, if you want to make a motion.
No, I was just gonna say I'd be happy to support it, just looking for what official action do we need to take? Just guidance and
motion.
support, or you do need a
It's
motion?
just a
Okay.
motion
All
as
right, well, then
stated
I'll
in
make
the
a,
agenda.
I'll make a motion then, that we permit township staff to allow for public meeting, sealed bid openings at a duly advertised meeting separate from prior to, Board of Commissioner meetings.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Vice President Nagy, a second from Commissioner Brown. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And before we turn to the commissioners' reports, I'll just open it up to any directors, lieutenants, captains, staff that have anything for the greater good that they would like to share this evening.
I have something. Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to publicly thank Cheryl Delosier for her support to the township. We have been successful in a local share grant award for $270,000 for a leaf turner. And Cheryl Delosier was instrumental in us being successful in getting this award. So I just wanted to publicly thank her and also thank staff, Benjamin Peters, Barbara Arnold, and even Charlie Reynolds in the Fleet Department were all a big help to me when submitting this application to the state, to DCED, doing some research and due diligence. So thank you to the staff, and thank you to Representative Delosier for her assistance.
Okay, thank you for that public announcement. Anyone else have anything for the good of the order? Okay, seeing none, we'll turn to the commissioner reports, and we'll start with Commissioner Schwartz.
Thank you, Madam President. Just two things. One, to follow up on the National Library Week proclamation. I encourage everybody to, take a look at their offerings, and even if you can't actually make it to the library in person, or to an event, or some other group that is holding events there, check out the Libby app. You can through that you can borrow library books, ebooks, and audiobooks for use on your own device. It's essentially the only way that I read books anymore is by listening to them. So I think it's incredibly convenient, and you don't have to go back to the library to check it back in. So it's a great thing. Second, I wanted to, encourage people to think of and pray for Lauren Castleberry. She's a member of the Rec and Parks Board. Over the weekend, she ended up having a heart attack. She's in the hospital now, as far as I know. She's recovering, but is still in serious condition. So I just wanted to encourage people to pray for her and her family, that she pulls through and recovers fully. And thank you to our public safety team, the police and EMS, who were able to get there, according to her husband, within minutes to, ultimately, I think, save her life. So it's greatly appreciated and makes a big difference. So thank you.
That's
Yes, thank you for bringing that to our attention. We weren't chatting about that before the meeting. We certainly extend our well wishes to her for a speedy recovery, so thank you. Commissioner Bloom?
Thank you, Madam President. First, I would just like to thank staff, as we do so much, for the work that goes into preparing us for these meetings and all the work that goes into running the townships. You know, this time of year, we get out and we walk a lot in the neighborhood where we're at, and some parks, and we run into people, and people have really good things to say about Lower Allen Township. So I'm just so grateful that we continue that culture here. And I really appreciate the innovation and the thought that goes into making, I would say, I'll call them changes, but I would say making improvements to how we operate in the township. I truly believe that not having those dumpsters, given the circumstances, and will, over at Public Works, will be an improvement overall for our lives here. I'm sure we'll have the best solution, in front of us in the future. But thanks for staying vigilant about, with that. And again, thanks to all of our staff, all of our public safety disciplines that offer such great customer service to our residents. It really is appreciated. I had a conversation with my wife and I had a conversation with a couple of residents on the lane the other day, and on top of, the kudos they give to the township, they are also asking, because recently the fire over in the High Meadow area of that house, they just genuinely are concerned, not for anything we did, but like things, they're like, how did a house like that go up? And I explained, I don't know for sure the cause of that, or if even the investigation was complete. But they, genuinely fear in this day and age that anything could, start a fire in their home. And I was just wondering, do we still publish things like safety tips and what people should avoid doing in their houses and things like that on a regular basis?
We have not lately. The Crime Watch, we do things in the Crime Watch program on the police side, but we don't have anything that's compatible, other than maybe Facebook or some of the social medias. We certainly can take a look at that. Now with the website down,
Well, Director Hall, don't you have articles in the newsletter from time to time?
well, we do that,
Yeah.
yeah. But I'm talking about from a published point of view, other than newsletter.
Yeah, and I didn't share with the residents, some speculation that I have heard. And again, I don't know if I didn't share with them intentionally because I didn't think it was appropriate to share just something I had heard about one. But there's things that a lot of residents, I guess, would just assume there's no way that would actually cause a fire, And so I think in this day and age, with all of the electricity that we're using concentrated into maybe certain areas and things like that, with all the devices and things we have, maybe looking down the road to get some communication out there would be helpful.
Sure.
Or at least steering residents,
We can most certainly put it on Facebook.
or at least steering them to maybe some statewide or county-wide guidance.
Sure.
The most current guidance that would maybe
Yeah,
help.
we can publish something on Facebook. That's not
Sure.
a problem.
So,
And Chief Ringley had been interviewed by Penn Live specifically about the fire, but kind of the second half of the article, he did a great job of just recapping fire safety and
Great.
the number 1, 2, 3 causes of fires and avoidances. So I think he's doing a great job at kind of starting that fire prevention education, and
mhm.
the volunteers do a great job in the October fall time for
Yeah.
Fire Prevention Month as well.
Great.
Well, if that's Fire Prevention Month, I just had an idea we could also do a flyer out with our sewer bill that would go to every customer on the back of the bill, and that would reach a lot of residents.
Perhaps, yeah.
So that might be even another good idea for
I like
outreach.
that.
Sure.
Mhm.
I just thought I'd bring it up. Thank you for your consideration. Jessica, thank you for joining us here and everything you do at the library. Vicki and I have used the library quite a bit in the last year, and I mean, I was speaking with Commissioner Schwartz last week or the week before on it, and it's really a great space over there. And it's more than just going in and checking out a book now. It's a space for people to do some work and to have resources there to help them do their work. And and the customer service at a library level was really, really good. Really good, thank you. Yep. I won't stay too long, or too much longer on this, but I just would like everybody to, if you don't know, Commissioner John Thomas in Hampton Township passed away. John, a friend that I learned being involved in local government in the last 8 years, was a great guy. He was a great mentor. He was the president of Hampton Township for many years. He was the president of the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Commissioners, and who also, until his passing, was still on the executive committee according to the bylaws, and he had been attending meetings, as of late as well. And so I would just ask for prayers for his family as they go through this time with John, but he'll be missed in our community. That's all I had, Madam President. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Okay, want to go next? Commissioner Brown?
Sure. Yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations again to all the officers tonight that got awards. Some really great stories, and makes me happy that I live in this community to have such great police officers in the community representing. The other thing I just wanted to say too is baseball and softball season's coming up, and this time of year finds me in our parks and on the fields a lot. So been around checking out the fields. They're in great shape, so kudos to your staff there for having everything right, and watching my daughter play soccer at Lower Allen Community Park and seeing those fields filled with youngsters now. I know at one point in time there was a lot of adults in there, which is good. I like seeing people getting up there in age out there still playing sports, but really those parks and the young ladies out there playing softball is great, and the kids running around playing soccer, and the parks are in as good a shape as I've ever seen them. They're beautiful, so kudos on that.
Okay, thank you. Vice President?
Thank you. Apologies to jumping the gun earlier, and to Lieutenant Foltz for tagging along there with your awards, but while everyone was here, I wanted to make sure they knew how appreciated they are and for what they do. And to Lieutenant Senman and Lieutenant Foltz, please tell your officers to keep doing what they're doing, both from the police side and the community and public safety interactions. I truly mean it, that it is a unique thing we have in this township, and we want to keep it that way. So thank you guys very much. It's a public safety kind of night, but I just wanted to point out our fire department and our PSOs have a connection to West York. So the Lower Allen Fire Department and DFRS personnel took our engine to stand by in West York during Officer Duarte's funeral to allow all of the West York Fire Department personnel to attend the funeral. Unfortunately, no good deed goes unpunished, and while in West York, they actually responded to a fatal motor vehicle accident. So I just want to thank all of them for their selflessness in that tragedy. And then, on a highlight of everything else, we received our 2024 Lower Allen EMS report. In there's about 6 things that Captain Deven points out of services that we provide. Essentially basic EMS, advanced life support, and intermediate life support. That's essentially I don't want to say minimum requirements, but that's what we expect when running an ambulance. But we were a pioneer in adding that intermediate level of coverage, one of the first even in the state. And we do all of these extremely well, but it's the other 3 that came after that I want to point out. Community paramedicine, education, and resident services. It's these 3 that our EMS truly punches above its weight class. So I just want to give a commendation to our EMS team and Captain Deven for making everything that you guys do possible, far above and beyond what was initially asked of you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Nagy. So I just have a couple quick comments, and I'll try not to be redundant to the other comments that have already been made, but I do want to start off and just say thank you very much to Mr. Sterling. You have been doing a fabulous job with putting together our packets, just organizing them, preparing them, and communicating about them. It's been fabulous. So as a board, we just want to say thank you very much for that. It's been wonderful and makes our lives easier, so thank you. Also wanted to reiterate what Manager Davis said about Representative Delozier, and just want to thank her again for her assistance in the grant that we were able to obtain. And then lastly, although Commissioner Vallone touched on it, I just wanted to say, in light of Commissioner John Thomas's recent passing from Hampton Township, I want to extend my deepest sympathies to his family and just say how truly grateful I am. He was very supportive to me and opened a lot of doors for me when I was a baby bond lawyer almost 20 years ago now. Can't even believe I'm saying that out loud. But he was just a wonderful human being in my early career, and just extremely grateful for that. And then through up until just a few years ago when I became commissioner, and he was just a great mentor through all of that. Even just recently attending the Township Commissioners event in Scranton, I had lunch and dinner with him a few times, and he was just a force to be reckoned with, and he will be greatly missed by the community that he served very well and for a very long time. So just wanted to echo your comments on that. And with that, I understand that there's potential action coming from executive session. So we will recess to executive session for 2 items, one of which is a personnel matter regarding a vacancy on the Planning Commission. And the second is a personnel matter regarding an update on the police collective bargaining agreement. So we'll recess at this time, and we'll be back shortly. will reconvene the meeting, and I believe we have a few action items from executive session.
Yes, Madam President, I move that we appoint Kathleen M. Hall to fill the vacant seat on the Planning Commission for the remainder of the term beginning January 1st, 2025.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Schwartz, a second from Commissioner Vallone. Any questions or discussion? Commissioner Brown. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And then I think we have a second action item.
Yes, Madam President, I make a motion that we advertise a special meeting for discussion and possible action for the collective bargaining agreement for noon, Monday, March 31st.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Vice President Nagy, a second from Commissioner Brown. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And with that, I believe our meeting is concluded. And have a nice rest of the evening. Thank you.
Nice meeting